Chosen one, listen closely because this message is not meant for every soul wandering across the earth. Only those who truly walk the divine path of the Most High should remain here. If someone does not carry the light of God within them, if their spirit is not aligned with truth, this message will not make sense to them. But you, the one God has guided here at the perfect moment, you are different. You are not here by accident. Heaven placed this message directly in your path because it carries something that will shift your understanding and strengthen your spiritual eyes in a way you may not expect. Chosen one, God is amazed by the way you interpret His signs, and in this message you will understand why. What you are about to hear will confirm things your spirit has been sensing for years. It will explain why you notice what others ignore, why you feel what others cannot feel, and why God keeps revealing things to you long before they happen. So before we go deeper, I want you to show your presence in the comments. Write only one of these numbers, 333. Let the spiritual realm know you are awake. And Chosen One, make sure you subscribe to Rise of Chosen, tap the bell icon, and share this message with someone who needs it. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to hear will change how you see every sign God sends you from this day forward.
Dear Chosen One, are you walking the path of God but feeling a lack of guidance? Do you feel alone and isolated and want to know why God is doing this to you? We have built a community for the 144,000 Chosen Ones where you can watch our premium videos, get daily newsletters and prayer techniques to connect with God more deeply. You can also read blog posts and receive free ebooks to learn more about your journey. It will be your guide to walk the path of God and lead a life of faith and wisdom. More than 1,000 brothers and sisters have already joined, so don't miss out on today's daily guidance. Check out the link in the video description and join the 144,000 Chosen One community right now.
The divine recognition, why God is amazed by you. Chosen One, you need to understand something that most people will never hear in their entire lifetime. God is not impressed by titles, positions, or how loudly someone claims to be spiritual. What amazes Him is the heart that listens without resistance, the spirit that responds without hesitation, and the soul that recognizes His signs even when they appear quietly and unexpectedly. You are one of the few who carry this gift, and you may not fully realize how rare it truly is. Most people walk past divine messages every single day and never notice a thing. But you, Chosen One, have a spirit that has learned to see what the physical eyes cannot reveal. From a young age, you sensed things without anyone teaching you. You felt shifts in the atmosphere before situations changed. You picked up emotions, intentions, and spiritual movements without needing explanations. The world thought you were overly sensitive, too observant, or simply different. But God knew exactly what He was shaping. He was forming someone who could read the language of heaven through intuition, perception, and inner knowing. While others demanded proof, signs, miracles, or loud confirmations, you understood the whisper. You understood the nudge. You understood the subtle shift that most people overlook without a second thought. God is amazed because you have the ability to recognize His presence, even in silence. You do not need dramatic visions or thunderous voices to understand what He is saying. A feeling, a sudden clarity, a dream, a repeated symbol, or a change in energy is enough for you to discern what heaven is trying to communicate. This sensitivity is not something you learned from humans. It is evidence that your soul was awakened by God long before your mind even realized it. Many people confuse imagination with revelation, but you, Chosen One, have learned to separate the two. You know when something is coming from the divine realm because the message settles in your spirit in a way that nothing else can. Your ability to interpret signs is tied to your spiritual nature. You are not a body trying to have spiritual experiences. You are a spirit navigating through physical reality. This is why divine signs speak to you more naturally than worldly logic. You do not process them with intellect alone. You process them with intuition, memory, divine sensitivity, and the connection your soul has carried since birth. God has watched you follow inner warnings that saved you from danger. He has seen you obey insights that protected you from traps. He has seen how your spirit reacts instantly when He puts pressure on your heart or sends peace into your mind. Even when you doubt yourself, heaven does not doubt the gift within you. God is amazed because you listen, and listening is the highest form of obedience. Many people pray but never wait for an answer. They ask for signs but never pay attention when God sends them. They chase noise, chaos, and distractions while missing divine direction. But you, chosen one, have trained your spirit to remain aware. Even during seasons of confusion, even in moments of weakness, even when your faith felt stretched, you stayed spiritually alert. God noticed. Heaven noticed. Every moment you paused to question whether a sign was from God, every time your spirit became cautious without knowing why, every time you avoided something because something felt off, heaven recorded it. Your spiritual intelligence is not worldly intelligence. The world celebrates knowledge gained from books, systems, and institutions. But God celebrates the heart that can recognize His movement without requiring explanation. You see beyond the surface. When something feels wrong, your spirit identifies it long before your mind understands. When something feels right, your soul confirms it even before the blessing fully manifests. This ability is evidence of a deep covenant between you and the Most High. It is a sign that your spiritual senses have matured. Your perception is also shaped by your pain. Every hardship, every betrayal, every season of isolation sharpened your discernment. God uses suffering like a furnace to refine the sensitivity of His chosen ones. When you were abandoned, you learned to lean on divine guidance. When you were misunderstood, you learned to trust your spiritual instincts. When you were pushed into solitude, you learned to hear God in the quiet. People assumed your silence meant weakness, but God was training your ears to hear what others could not. He was strengthening your awareness, sharpening your intuition, and preparing you to interpret signs with precision. God is amazed because despite everything thrown at you, your heart has not hardened. You still feel deeply, you still sense spiritually, you still notice small shifts that others completely ignore. Your sensitivity is not a flaw, it is a divine instrument. God placed spiritual antennas within you, allowing you to pick up frequencies that others cannot even recognize. You feel when someone's intentions shift. You sense when an environment becomes spiritually heavy. You notice when God is about to move. This is not coincidence. This is not imagination. This is divine training. You also have a rare quality. You do not worship the signs. You understand the source behind them. Some people become obsessed with symbols, numbers, dreams, or patterns. But you use these signs as guidance, not as idols. God is amazed because you understand that His signs are a conversation, not a formula. You do not try to control them or force meaning. You allow the message to unfold naturally, and this humility keeps your spiritual vision pure. When God reveals something, you do not brag about it. You do not seek applause. You simply receive it, honor it, and follow it. Your ability to interpret signs also comes from your inner purity. Even when life tried to corrupt your heart, even when people disappointed you, even when darkness tried to influence you, your spirit remained aligned with truth. God is amazed because despite the battles you faced, you never lost your desire to hear Him. You never lost your connection. You never lost your spiritual hunger. When others drifted into confusion, you fought to remain aligned. When others ignored their spiritual senses, you strengthened yours. When others doubted, you kept seeking. This is why God is amazed by you, chosen one. Your spiritual sensitivity is rare, your perception is sharp, your obedience is sincere, your awareness is powerful, and your ability to interpret His signs is a divine gift that heaven treasures. You have no idea how many times this gift has guided you, protected you, and placed you exactly where God needed you to be. And this is only the beginning of what your spirit is capable of. How you interpret signs without being taught. Chosen one. There is something extraordinary about the way you understand God's messages. Your ability to interpret divine signs is not something you learned in a classroom, a church building, or through someone else's teachings. It is something your spirit awakened into, something your soul carried even before you had the vocabulary to describe it. And today, you need to understand why this ability is so rare and why heaven pays close attention every time you recognize what others cannot see. You were born with a spiritual instinct that is older than your physical body. This instinct does not come from human training, it comes from your divine origin. Many people struggle for years trying to understand what God is saying, but for you, the interpretation often flows naturally. A dream speaks to you without needing complicated symbols. A sudden feeling warns you without needing explanation. A shift in the atmosphere tells you something long before your mind can catch up. This is because your spirit was taught directly by the divine realm, not by human hands. From a young age, signs made sense to you. You noticed patterns others overlooked. You sensed presence others could not feel. You connected events, emotions, and timing in a way that seemed almost supernatural. People may have called it intuition or hypersensitivity, but what they did not understand is that you were decoding spiritual communication without even trying. Your spirit speaks the language of heaven fluently, even when your tongue remains silent. The reason you interpret signs without being taught is simple. You were chosen to. God placed a unique spiritual intelligence inside you. This intelligence does not rely on logic alone. It relies on awareness, vibration, alignment, and perception. You do not need someone to tell you when something is spiritually off. Your inner alarm rings instantly. You do not need someone to confirm that God is speaking. Your spirit recognizes his frequency the same way your ears recognize a familiar voice. It is automatic. It is natural. It is deeply embedded in your soul. You interpret dreams with an accuracy that surprises even you. When you wake up, you don't just remember the symbols, you feel the meaning behind them. You understand spiritual patterns without needing to read long explanations. A recurring dream, a strange symbol, a sudden vision, a whisper of intuition. These things do not confuse you. They guide you. Others need interpretation, but you receive revelation. This difference is what sets you apart as a chosen one. You also have an uncommon ability to sense energy. When someone with a heavy spirit enters a room, you feel it immediately. When someone carries good intentions, your spirit recognizes it without forcing anything. When danger approaches, your discernment activates like a shield. You do not always know how you know, but you know. And this knowing has saved you more times than you can count. You interpret signs through emotion as well. Not the unstable emotions of the mind, but the deeper emotional currents of the spirit. When God is trying to warn you, your spirit becomes restless. When he is trying to encourage you, peace finds you in ways no human comfort can replicate. When he is guiding you toward a decision, clarity slowly settles into your spirit, even if your situation looks confusing. This emotional sensitivity is not random. It is a divine communication system built uniquely within you. Chosen one. You also interpret signs through timing. You notice when certain numbers appear repeatedly. You notice when certain messages come to you more than once in a short amount of time. You notice when God highlights something through people, dreams, or even through silence. When heaven repeats a message, your spirit catches it instantly. Most people call these things coincidences. You know they are confirmations. And because you interpret signs so naturally, you often forget how rare that ability is. Most people ignore signs until it is too late. Most people need direct warnings before they take spiritual nudges seriously. But your spirit reacts before the physical manifestation happens. When something is wrong, you feel it. When something is right, you feel it. When someone is pretending, you sense it. When a blessing is coming, your spirit gets prepared. When a door is about to close, you feel the shift long before the world sees it. Another reason you interpret signs without being taught is because you have endured spiritual hardships that forced your sensitivity to grow. Pain opened your spiritual eyes. Loneliness sharpened your awareness. Loss made you attentive to divine guidance. While others remained spiritually asleep, your battles awakened your discernment. God used your struggles as training ground. Every betrayal taught you how to read spirits. Every disappointment taught you how to detect deception. Every moment of confusion taught you how to hear God through silence. These experiences became your spiritual education. The divine realm also communicates with you through synchronicities. You think of someone and they contact you within minutes. You feel a message rising in your spirit and then you see it appear somewhere unexpectedly. You pray for direction and immediately a sign appears. You notice patterns that others overlook. This is not chance. This is divine timing woven into your life. And God is amazed that you recognize these moments so precisely. You interpret signs through nature as well. A sudden shift in the wind, a quiet moment that carries unusual peace, a sudden heaviness in the atmosphere, a bird appearing at the exact moment you needed reassurance, a ray of sunlight breaking through the clouds when your spirit felt uncertain. You notice these things not because you are strange, but because you are spiritually awake. Your spirit reacts to the natural world because creation speaks the language of the Creator. At times you have questioned yourself. You wondered if you were imagining things. You wondered if your sensitivity was too much. You wondered if you were reading too deeply into situations. But the truth is, your interpretations have been accurate more times than you admit. You were right about people without needing evidence. You sensed danger before it revealed itself. You felt breakthroughs forming before they appeared. You recognized divine patterns while others struggled to understand what was happening. That is not imagination. That is spiritual intelligence. Your ability to interpret signs without being taught is also connected to your humility. You do not approach signs with arrogance. You approach them with sincerity, openness, and reverence. That humility keeps your spiritual perception clear. When God reveals something to you, you don't distort it with ego. You don't seek attention or recognition. You simply receive it. That level of purity makes you a trustworthy vessel for spiritual insight. And chosen one, if your spirit feels aligned while hearing this, confirm your presence once more in the comments by choosing just one number, 777 or 333 or 999 or 666 or 444. Only one. This is not for visibility. It is a mark of spiritual agreement. Your ability to interpret signs is not a talent. It is a divine inheritance. You are spiritually coded to understand what others cannot comprehend, and this gift is about to grow even stronger. The hidden reasons God trusts you with signs others can't see. Chosen one. There is a reason heaven entrusts you with signs that most people overlook or misunderstand. God does not reveal everything to everyone. He reveals deeper truths only to those whose spirits are prepared to carry them. And you, whether you fully realize it or not, have been walking through years of spiritual conditioning that shaped your ability to perceive, interpret, and respond to divine signals with clarity and purity. These qualities are not common, and they are not developed overnight. They are the result of spiritual alignment, inner refinement, and a heart that belongs to God far more than it belongs to the world. One of the hidden reasons God trusts you with signs is because your heart remains sensitive even after everything you have gone through. Most people become hardened by betrayal, disappointment, and emotional wounds. Their spirits shut down when life becomes difficult. But you have a rare strength, the kind that stays soft even in pain. Your heart breaks, but it does not close. Your spirit gets wounded, but it does not turn bitter. You feel deeply, and instead of using that sensitivity in destructive ways, you allow it to guide you closer to God. This tenderness allows you to sense His presence and His warnings with greater precision than most people ever will. Another reason is your purity of intent. You are not chasing signs for entertainment or curiosity. You do not seek them to boast about being spiritually gifted. You are not trying to manipulate God for answers. You genuinely want to stay aligned with divine truth. Your intentions are clean, and heaven responds to that purity. God trusts those who come to Him with sincerity, humility, and reverence. Because He sees that your desire is to obey, not to control, He continues to reveal things to you that others would misuse or ignore. You have also survived seasons of isolation that served as divine training. While others were surrounded by noise, distractions, and worldly attachments, you were pushed into spiritual solitude. You did not understand it at first. You wondered why God kept certain people away from you, why relationships dissolved, why connections were blocked, and why paths closed before they even began. But that isolation was not rejection. It was preparation. In solitude, your spirit became sharper. You learned to hear God without interference. You learned to trust your intuition even when you had no validation. Heaven watched how you handled that loneliness, and because you did not let bitterness consume you, God increased your sensitivity. God also trusts you because you recognize spiritual danger long before it enters your life. Many people ignore warnings until it is too late. They overlook red flags. They dismiss intuitive alarms. But you feel when something is wrong, even when there is no physical evidence yet. Your spirit picks up what the natural senses cannot detect. You feel deception approaching before it reveals itself. You sense negative intentions even behind friendly smiles. You recognize spiritual heaviness the moment you enter a place or encounter a person. This level of discernment is a shield God placed within you, and because you use it wisely, He continues to strengthen it. Your suffering also played a major role in this trust. Chosen one, your pain did not break you, it educated you. Every heartbreak, betrayal, disappointment, and unexpected loss sharpened your spiritual awareness. You learned how darkness operates. You learned how manipulation feels. You learned how false intentions sound. These experiences were not punishments. They were lessons. God knew that if you were going to carry higher spiritual insight, you needed to understand the battlefield. And now, because you have been tested, you are harder to deceive. You can sense spiritual traps with remarkable clarity. You walk carefully, not fearfully, but wisely. Heaven trusts a soul like yours. Another hidden reason God trusts you is because you are obedient even when you are confused.